Or once again, welcome everyone. Please make sure you are subscribed to our channel. I want to make sure we get the information out there. There is so much to cover. We never have enough time, but welcome, welcome, welcome. Please hit the like button. We got to get the homework out of the way. And please share these videos, or at least let them. Well, it's echoing, so I don't know.
Here we go. Here we go. Right there.
Okay, please give me a 5 by 5, everybody. You know, this high technology around our studio, and I always seem to have somewhat of a problem. So please let me know that you can hear me loud and clear. Well, Fred says, where is everyone? Lyle Nation is saying loud and clear. Everybody will start filtering in. We're trying to do these on a regular basis every Wednesday. I want to start with something. There's Edie. I can always depend on Edie 5 by 5. Thank you. Brilliant production staff. Yes, brilliant indeed. We at the Warriors have been running around doing so much, but I want to start with something that has been bothering me for the last year. How many Sebastian Rogers are there? Are you familiar at all with Sebastian Rogers? Remember, weigh in on the chat. Let's get some conversation going here. Sebastian Rogers was the teenager who disappeared last February 25th, 2024 in Hendersonville, Tennessee. And he, 14 years old, I believe, autistic, spent the day with his mom, went to dinner with his mom. His mom said he went to bed around 9 or 10 o'clock. And when she woke up in the morning, he was just gone, about 6 o'clock in the morning. And it's a story we've covered extensively on the Warriors. Also, a lot of other channels, such as, Nancy Grace, we've been covering it because there's not a clue for this teen who disappeared, who left the house, last seen with no shoes on, we think. Details are sketchy. Just a sweatshirt and some pants. Maybe took a flashlight. Nobody has him on a Ring doorbell. They have exhausted such a searching for him constantly. Now, his parents are divorced. His dad even got involved with Dog the Bounty Hunter and has in excess of 300,000 in reward money. The FBI has put up 50,000 for reward money. And this little boy's face, I mean, if you go on our Twitter or Facebook, you'll see Sebastian Rogers. It's just haunting me. It's haunting me because we're hearing about Sebastian Rogers, right? But there are so many kids just gone, just missing. Where do they go? I mean, they bring in cadaver dogs, they search construction sites, nothing from nothing. Where are the children? Where is this child? And I don't know. I don't, want to be this armchair detective. I'm simply saying the fact is this story of Sebastian, this teen who just disappeared, just gone, erased. There are so many more like that in the United States. Please, please, if you hear of anything, you see anything of any children, because we always at the Warriors every single day post pictures of missing kids. Even if, I always say, if you can do one thing, right? What would be easy? You can share a picture of a missing child on your Facebook, on whatever your social media platform, preferred platform is, or all of them. That is so important. You might not think you're doing anything, but eyes and ears and the millions of people that are on the internet, we have to do it because there are so many missing children. In the case of Sebastian, if you go to my Facebook or Twitter, Lynn's Warriors, you will see the phone numbers, the email, everything about Sebastian. But I'm just haunted. I'm haunted when I stop and think about all of these missing kids. And today, with all the technology, well, you see our show, I'm always having a little something in the universe getting connected. Thank goodness our production staff around here can clear it up quickly for me. But with all this technology, with all these Ring doorbells, with all these cameras in neighborhoods, there are more cameras than you even know about across America, all over watching. And kids just disappear, gone. Very frightening. Uh, Diane says, "Hey, Lynn, I caught alive. Welcome, Diane." And there's Frederick. Frederick's a real warrior here frequently. Diane also says, "I've been busy with my groups, but I plan on giving you an update soon." 47 people showed up. 47 people? That's excellent, excellent news. I want to tell you about what we were doing yesterday. So we're here, as you know, based in New York City. And I spent the day, the Warriors, with the New York City Council. And that is down by all our courthouses and downtown. There's massive congestion, but that's the seat of power, for lack of better words. And you have to realize something. We always talk about senators and congresspeople and governors and the president, power. But you don't realize, or perhaps you do, but many people don't realize that the power for your own community is with your city council. So it's very important to rally up with them, to go and meet with them. Remember, they work for us. And to present them if you have a problem, you have a suggestion, you have something legislatively you want to talk about, you need to meet with your city council because they make those local laws. So that is something that impacts you directly, right? And I don't care if it's about garbage, it's about, exploitation, schools, but keep that in mind because there is so much red tape going up that ladder to get to the president, perhaps, your governor. Start in your community. That is our hashtag. I always tell you this: community creates change. Go there. That's where you can get a lot of work done. And we had some terrific meetings. Of course, the topics were about exploitation, homelessness. 1 in 4 kids go to bed in New York City hungry every night. That's what we know about. Maybe it's 1 in 3, but the most recent study, which is a very current study from 2 weeks ago, says 1 in 4. And when I say New York City today, it used to be you would say, I'm from the Bronx, I'm from Brooklyn, I'm from Queens. Now it's kind of lumped into all of the 5 boroughs are New York City. So this study for 1 in 4 children go to bed hungry. In New York, that is also, it is the total of Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, New York City. It is all 5 boroughs. I don't care, it, any child going to bed hungry is too much. So we're talking about restaurants that have leftover food and how can we make it work? There are legal ramifications sometimes. How can we get this food into food banks? Because a lot of these places, fast food, or maybe you have them by you, these pret-a-manger's, Panera breads, at the end of the day, because employees have reported to me, I was even speaking to one yesterday during these meetings who was along, they just at the end of the night throw all the food away. And there's also cases of, they throw all the food away and dump bleach on it because they don't want anybody eating it. So there's some, I understand legal ramifications, but there's something in there where we should not be throwing food away when the report says 1 in 4 kids are going to bed hungry or walking around hungry. How can a child concentrate at all if they're hungry? So we had a very successful day, the Warriors with the New York City Council. And, you just got to get on their level with them, right? They have so many things, these council members, thrown at them. People wanting. And the group I was with, I was also talking to them about, it's great we present, here's what we need sponsorship for. Here's what we want to get on your agenda. But it's also very important, and keep this in mind, I'm giving you a little bit of a tutorial right now, should you go out, and I want you to meet with your council members in your neighborhood, your city, town, rural area, wherever you are. It's very important to always say, right? And what do you have on your agenda that I might be able to help you with? Kind of thing. It's a give and a take. And I noticed yesterday when I said this in different meetings, after we explained what we're doing, what we're looking for, we'd like to get sponsorship, here are the details, pros and cons, back and forth. In each room I was in, when I said to them, and so what can we help you with? What's on your agenda that we can perhaps, partner up with or raise awareness? I'm telling you, their eyes lit up. Eyes lit up. So that's just a little technique you might want to use. Just I said, perhaps, right? I didn't give away any promises. I just said, perhaps, what are you working on that we can perhaps help you with? Um, let's see what some of the comments here. Thank you, Diane. Subscribe and hit the like button, please. And thank you. Listen, we have a lot of great initiatives. We are going to be announcing, nothing's up yet. Tickets aren't for sale. There's nothing online, but we will be doing May 7th in New York City. We're going to be doing a fabulous evening with the Warriors, a cocktail party type Q&A with our fabulous author. And please, I urge all of you, go back and look at the interviews that we've done with some of our experts, survivors, right here on the channel, with author Brian Joseph, investigative reporter, and along with survivor advocate, very strong, Angela Williams. What a story. And together they collaborated. A book about, it's called Vegas Concierge, because she worked in Vegas. And it's about the hip hop culture, law enforcement, and corruption in America. It is an exciting read. So, the Warriors, we're going to fly them in, and we're going to do an interesting evening, a Q&A. We're going to have some music, and we're going to have some food, and give everybody a copy of the book. But stay tuned for that. We're going to start doing more things like that, because we are doing so much behind the scenes you cannot see. For instance, that when we raise our monies go into obviously our education programs, but also into survivors. We are so honored, and I will be sharing these pictures online when they're available in a couple of days. That, let's see, I won't be able to put the location where it is, but we are partnered up with a survivor ranch, and we are funding the gardens and the tomatoes and the cucumbers, so that we want to give people on the ranch jobs to do, growing their own food, right? We have the animals there now. So all the beds are being planted as we speak. All of the framework is up on these beautiful pergolas, benches, and we'll have our name, Lynn's Warriors, all over the place. And it will be a place for survivors to work, meditate, sit on a bench, take in, the animals, the atmosphere. And I'm very proud. We do so much of that work. So please keep that in mind. That is where our donations go towards, because, we don't take government money. I don't want it. I don't want red tape. I don't want somebody telling us what to do, because I see far too often that, and this goes for organizations, they can be on the right, they can be on the left. Once they start taking that government grants and stuff, they start kind of towing the line, I call it. They don't really speak out enough about something. And I never want to be put in a position where, because I took money, some grant, that I have to zip my lip, because I will not do that. So for those of you who have donated, thank you very, very much. We have our membership also, $2.99 a month. Come on now. Price of a cup of coffee. I think it's less. But I want you to understand that's where monies go at the Warriors, that trickles down directly to victims, survivors, housing, food, and employing people, right? We're going to be developing our own Dress for Success chapter. We have that in the works, so that we can have a clothing partnership and help people feel good and have decent clothes to wear. But I'm going to hold off on all that, because I want to get through a couple of headlines. I'm going to make sure I can cover some of what you're saying. Frederick says, just boxes of food going to a big trash container that then gets emptied sack for sack into a garbage truck. I know, we have to figure out a better way. And Lionel Nation says, keep in mind that also many restaurant owners and providers are afraid of being sued in the event that someone were to eat some donated items and then claim they became sick. Right. Well, you know what? We understand that. And that has happened, right? It's people trying to do good. There's always those evil ones that come in and flip it over. It's like the internet. The internet is basically a good tool, right? I think we can all agree on that. However, the predators all broke in and flipped it over to make it dangerous. Okay, we'll leave that for a minute. But there is so much waste of food, right? We have to figure out a way where we can utilize that and at least let kids, not be hungry. So we got to figure out how that one's going to work out. I don't know. We'll have to talk to lawyers, and maybe there are not NDAs, agreements signed, but any agreement can be broken. I don't know. But we'll be following up on this. There's just too much food being wasted. Leslie's here. Hello, Leslie. Thank you for joining us. Um, the other thing I want to make you very aware of, finally, there's a little bit. Every meeting I've been going to, presentation, um, be in Washington a lot the month of March, I keep bringing up boys and young men are the forgotten victims in all of this exploitation. The number one demo right now for sex trafficking, boys 12 to 17. I think we should be talking about that. Yes, studies, stats, it all is overwhelmingly girls and women, right? But the boys are catching up and fast. And so just today, I started finding some media articles about boys in sextortion, uh, boys and bots. We're going to get into that. And I thought, okay, finally, some people are talking about it. We have to talk about these issues. And I want everybody to focus on that. Why can't we bring the boys into the fold? Nothing works, is my philosophy. And I actually go out and say this to people in government, like nothing has worked. So why not start from the ground floor up? I guess in a sense, I see President Trump doing that, I guess with Elon Musk, getting in there, cutting out waste. Uh, at the same time, in that mix, and I think we can all agree, what's been going on has been a criminal and a waste, but we need those monies. There are mixed into that a few good organizations that were depending on that money, and now they've been cut off. So my hope is that I understand nobody has time right now. It's all or nothing. Have to cut everything. I hope they are able to they go back in and reassess for the few organizations. I know of a few that were depending on government monies that were doing actually a pretty good job. No, a good job. I'm not going to say a pretty good job, a good job. And they're just cut off. So we always have to look at all these different scenarios. I'm very, I don't want to say upset because I'm a warrior. I don't, we've always been very partnered up colleagues of ours at Goya Foods, and they're right here in New Jersey, and they've always provided us with loads of food from when we started doing our giveaways, Thanksgiving up until Christmas, pallets of food that are a wonderful group we are associated with. The Wonder Girls would break apart the pallets and create bags of food that we could give out into the vulnerable communities. And their CEO, Bob Unanue, and I've interviewed him a couple of times now, was heading up Goya, and he's no longer there. He was forced out of his own family. It's a family-owned company. Under Bob's tutelage, I'll say, he's been there for about 21 years. He really brought Goya Foods nationally and internationally to the forefront, right? And developed many more products. And also, I think it was about 3 years ago, he started the program Goya Cares. And Goya Cares is all about no child is for sale. It's all about the trafficking of children here in America and also, in other places. Very passionate man who just, supportive of the Trump administration. And I just don't like that you're not allowed. Do you remember back a few years ago, they tried to do this boycott on Goya? It didn't really go anywhere because nobody's giving up their Goya, right? Does anybody remember that? We have a little lag here, but that didn't go anywhere. But, I don't like that. That's censorship. Now, again, I just know what I know. I'm not there. I don't work at Goya. I have not spoken to Bob Unanue. But what I like about him, he has put out a statement and just said, well, I'm going to remain committed to helping children. And so that I'm very happy about. So he'll take a new direction. He'll stay in the fight. He'll stay with the awareness. He'll stay with the Goya Cares program and keep going. So but that's a little bit, uh, what a nice man, a genuinely nice, good-hearted, uh, wants families and children to do well and be fed. I mean, Goya can't give you enough food when you ask them, right? I'm talking pallets of food. Unbelievable. So we'll have to see where it goes, and hopefully he will be in charge of this Goya Cares program. He'll stay on with that, or develop something new, or perhaps end up in the Trump administration. I really don't know, but I don't like the idea. He was so. Do you remember Sound of Freedom a couple of years ago, which Disney bought the rights and then shelved the film? I mean, to get that film into an actual theater took a while, took over 5 years. Disney bought it. Well, so nobody would see it, I guess, because they would not release it. Uh, they did crowdfunding on that film. Does everybody remember Sound of Freedom? Although it did not take place in the United States, it at least was the subject matter of child trafficking. It at least, so many people came up to me, and that was about 2 years ago, and said to me, "You were right, Lynn, you were right. There's trafficking. Oh, you were right, children. Oh, did you see Sound of Freedom?" And all kinds of shenanigans went on with that, where people were reporting they'd go online to buy tickets and it said sold out. They'd show up at the theater. The theater would say, "Management, we're closed today. We have no air conditioning," because it broke. It broke here in New York City on July 4th, because I remember we went right away to see the movie, right? I don't want to talk about anything unless I actually see it for myself. I don't read. I mean, I read what other people say about things, but I want to formulate, which is what all of you should be doing, my own opinion. So he was very instrumental in, they did their crowdfunding, they still needed funds. Bob Unanue came up and finished off the financing for them so they could get that movie into movie theaters. I don't want people to forget about that, because that movie was very instrumental. Whatever you think of that, right? At least it opened up the subject. And that's something I also don't understand. It takes a movie, when we talk about it, others talk about it, exploitation, internet safety. Why does it just take a movie to open up discussion? Yes, it's good, right? But we have to be the ones to be able to talk and go back and forth on these subjects. And things are popping up every single day you need to know about, or to tell your family about, or to tell, you may not have a child, but you have a neighbor, you have a friend who has a child or a grandchild. These are issues, and they're issues. We talk about children, but issues for yourself as well. So there's so much going on out there. Let's look at some of the comments. Closing the border is a big victory. I mean, I have to admit, I mean, what are we into week 5? But we knew this was the answer. You close the border. You come here legally. So that was just the runaway train. I can't even believe all of that went on. And I'm so angry that that was allowed to go on. And once these people got here, these women and girls were further abused. They were further held captive by these cartels. They weren't free once they got to New York City. A lot of them, a lot of them still owed the cartels, they were told. Because law enforcement told me this is the first time they ever saw this with these illegal aliens, where usually they would get here and that's it. They were released by, cartels, whoever brought them here. Now, for the first time, they reported to me, law enforcement, they're holding the women and girls still, saying, "We will, get rid of your family members back home. We will take your teen daughter. You will still be trafficked, exploited, and you will still pay us. We own you." Debt bondage, slavery, enslaving of people. So I'm so angry that this whole thing went on. And on top of it, this further exploitation. Can you imagine this is America? And can you imagine this is what our children are hearing about, witnessing, reading about, right? Because remember, kids have access to 4 devices, the phones, the laptops, the Chromebooks, gaming. So they're seeing and hearing things, even if you don't think they are. Or they have friends that are sending them things, showing them things, which is why it's so important. As always, I tell you to talk to kids. Let's have these partnerships, right? It's not them and us. We're in this together. And we should say that to the kids. Let's look at some comments. But the border is absolutely, it's shut down. New York City, which I couldn't believe what this place looked like last summer. I, I was so people hanging out on streets, hanging clothes over scaffolding, music I never heard before. I do not exaggerate when I say hundreds of scooters, bicycles, mopeds, people riding every which way on streets, dirty, everything, the streets. I really thought to myself, I don't think I can be here. If this is what our jewel of New York City, because you got to admit there's nothing like New York City, okay, is turning into. I don't know if I can be a part of this. Well, you know what? Today, and I was out a lot starting very early this morning, all the way across town, actually, west side to east side and east side to west side, and the streets are cleaner. I don't know where these people went, but I'm not seeing them. It wasn't that cold out, so you can't say they're hiding. And they've also announced they're closing many of these illegal alien, these hotels. So as of June 1st, most of them, including the beautiful Roosevelt Hotel on 45th by Grand Central Terminal, will be shut down. So this is all, major victory, major news. We can never go back to that. We can never allow that to happen, which is why I always say, I actually did a video on it, remain vigilant. We're very hopeful. A lot of great things are happening. You must remain vigilant. It's always about the next step. It's always about 4 years from now, right? We've just started this new administration, basically 5 weeks or so. So we have to never rest on our laurels. And that means even in your own home. That's it. You don't have to be marching on Washington or whatever your state capital is. In your own home, you got to watch those kids. You got to watch yourselves. Look at all these scams going on. I'm getting relentless. They're closing down my Facebook page. It's a big scam, though. If I don't answer them or click on this link, I've had like 50 people contact me already. They're giving me deadlines. They're going to close it down. You do not ever click on any links at all. Do not answer your telephone. If it's a strange number, somebody will leave a message if they need you. You call them back. Better tell the kids that and yourselves that. Let's see. Fred says maybe President Trump could somehow pressure Disney corporations to join us. To join us in doing all of this work. I will just say, Fred, nice idea. Fat chance. They had their chance, right? So I'm going to say again, it's a new world. There's new media. There are new companies popping up. There's actually a new studio. It hasn't opened yet. It's going to be more, of course, it was branded conservative, but it's going to be more family-friendly entertainment because that's what studies are showing people are looking for. The younger kids, 12, 13, 14 want family. Can you believe it? Family entertainment. And of course, parents and family members want that too. So I feel like, what do we need them for? They had their chance. They wrecked a lot of things. They caused a lot of chaos. Did not service our children. Why bring them into the fold? Let them go fail with all these other media companies. So that's what I have to say. Let's see. Pamela, Mason, Shiners, and Gestures. Well, Pamela, I'm looking to protect children. I'm looking to educate parents and family members. I'm looking to help you so we can intervene and prevent new victims. I want everybody to be on board. I want everybody to be savvy like these things happen. I'm going to leave that for the other people to deal with because you can't, if we took all of our energies, and I agree, yes, a lot of that does go on, and put it into that, I'm about you and the kids, helping you and the kids so we don't have new victims. We have to leave that up to the law enforcement that is working. The judges have to enforce. There are laws that are on the books. You've got to enforce those. And we also need in the justice system a complete retooling. But that is a whole nother program of an understanding of all of these issues of exploitation. Leslie says that's a shame that the Roosevelt Hotel was used for that. It was a shame because every American president, I believe, well, a little redundant what I just said, but every president of ours, I believe, has stayed at the Roosevelt Hotel. My feeling, and I don't know this, I don't work in the hotel business. Nobody told me. It's a beautiful building. You know what? They will clean that place up. maybe do a little reconstruction. I bet you in 2 years' time, that place will be open again like none of this ever happened. That is what I think. 75% of New York City hotels took government contracts. So there were only 25% left, which made the prices go way up for anybody who came here. And we're getting back. I'm telling you, in 2 years, we're going to feel like it never happened. These hotels will be cleaned up. They're money makers. Uh, yeah. And the streets are very busy with tourists because when I'm walking around, I hear all these different languages. So people are here from other countries, and that will only increase. Uh, Lori Cuck, thank you very much. Hello, Mrs. L. We got a lady transitioning out of trafficking in our church. Any ideas on how or if to speak to her? You mean how you should speak to her? You have to clarify that a little bit. How I should speak to her, how anybody should speak to her. You have to clarify. Remember, this is very complex issues we talk about. Anybody who is, we'll say, a survivor, a victim, the biggest thing you can start with is compassion, listening, hear them, be with them, make them feel safe. They need to be in a safe space. That's where it starts. In order for them to open up, to start healing and repairing and reclaiming their life, they have to feel like they're in a safe space. So, Lori, just clarify that a little bit, what you mean by that, because one has to be very gentle with all of this. Remember, this is trauma. Trauma that does not go away. There are good days and bad days. People have to understand nobody gets rescued and then suddenly, everything's great, right? No, it is ongoing trauma that must be treated psychologically, medically. Again, I go back to that safe space because working with survivors, speaking with survivors, victims, the first thing when they finally open up, it's funny, they'll say, somebody was nice to me. I remember a story, and bless her soul, she's no longer with us. She became a very strong survivor advocate, and she said after 10 years of being on the streets in New York, when the light bulb went off, is because she went to an emergency room in the middle of the night. Nobody was around, and a nurse sat next to her and just put a blanket on her and said, can I make you a cup of tea? And she said the light bulb went off after 10 years on the streets and being drug addicted and alcohol addicted. And she said that was the thing. Somebody looked at her, okay? And that's what we have to understand, kind of thing. So, Lori, just clarify that a little bit for me. Let's see what else is going on. Well, how to approach or give space. She looks so tired. Well, Lori, I don't know. This is beyond, I have to know more details. Is she in a safe space? Where is she? Kind of thing. If she's tired, she has to sleep and see some doctors. And there's this whole protocol that goes on with this. But obviously, she has to be in a safe space and sleep. The other thing I hear all the time is I can put my head on a pillow, what we take for granted. Survivors will always say, victims, I want a little teddy bear. And these are grown women too, and kids to clutch onto, to hug. And also, I want clean underwear. I want underwear, things we take for granted. So I need a little more information on that, Lori. But she needs to be in a safe space and she needs to rest. And Leslie's correct. You have to be a listener. You have to just let them, and you don't pressure anybody. They have to let it unfold. Just be there, right? Be there. Make them that cup of tea. Give them those tube socks or whatever they need, slippers for their feet. Let them rest. Hopefully they're in a safe environment, and let them unfold their story. Okay, let's see what else. I don't want to miss anything. I want to finish up with, let me see here. I've offered one of my cell phones for the women I spoke to. They can call me anytime. Diane, that's excellent. Excellent. Again, more context I would need with the story. If somebody is in a vulnerable position with a trafficker, they can't have a cell phone. They have to sneak it. They have to hide it, kind of thing. So again, all of this is so complex. It can't just be answered in one, I can't give you just a short answer to everything. Susan says you are right. I am an SA survivor and a baby boomer. Even though I had therapy, I still have trauma. Trauma is something we've done shows on it with psychologists, with our Nurses United Against Human Trafficking. People really don't understand what trauma is. You have to understand trauma is a lifelong thing. And that doesn't say one can't be healed. You can be healed. Again, I'm going to go back. You can reclaim. You still have trauma. We have had reports of something hits them 20 years later. Trauma. People have to study up on trauma. That's your homework for tonight. Trauma. Lori says she's in a halfway house, but she's joined our church to try to integrate. Okay, good. Now I understand. Church members, you should make a little schedule up. She should, every day, somebody should spend some time with her. I don't care if it's 20 minutes. She knows people care about her. Keep an eye on her appropriately. Again, let her talk when she wants to talk. I know everybody's overwhelmed and financially burdened, but see if you can do some little things for her. Go to the dollar store, get her a couple of little things. I don't care if it's a hair comb, hair ties, whatever that is needed. And keep her around people so she feels loved and part of community. The thing traffickers and pimps do and all these exploiters, they isolate that person, right? They isolate them. So they think nobody loves them. Nobody cares about them. Nobody's looking for them. Family doesn't care about them. They isolate them. And even though, because we have what used to be called streetwalkers back in New York, over East New York, another program, you may see a lot of girls and women walking on the street in the middle of the night. They're not really communicating at all with each other. They may look like a group, but they are so isolated because they're brainwashed. That's part of this trauma that everybody has to understand. And I'm not a doctor, so let's clarify that. But just being there, talking, welcoming, that is the biggest thing you can do. But Lori, thank you for all of this. It's so important that we help other people and talk about it. Yes, Michelle, great advice. Well, I want to talk about, before we leave, remember, I want everybody to, Sebastian Rogers, how does a child just disappear? Without a scent, literally, because they had cadaver dogs, without a lot of Ring doorbells around, nothing. Went to bed, according to his mom, was not there 6 a.m. Lots of pictures, seemed like a happy kid. They were out to dinner. So many Sebastian Rogers in the United States, so many boys and girls just gone, and we're not talking about them enough. We're not focusing on them enough. I don't care if you think your gut is usually right. It tells you if something doesn't seem, you're not going to get in trouble. If you think you see something or hear something, you call 911. That's it. The other thing is, there was a story today, and this is what we're going very heavily in 2025 with the Warriors into AI, artificial intelligence. And there's there's a artificial intelligence app available for free. So a lot of people, kids, will sign on for it. It's called character.ai. And stories are coming forth, just what we feared, that you can take this character.ai. Let me give you an example. And a 12-year-old girl could create her own Brad Pitt. Yeah. And it looks like Brad Pitt. And she commands it. And next, she's in a relationship with Brad Pitt. Do you know how dangerous this is? So there is a story about a boy. His mother decided, I'm going to go through his phone. And sure enough, and I don't want to go into details, he was in this relationship with character.ai. Again, and there's a lot of these that are going to be hitting the market, and for free, a lot of them too. So that's the dangerous part. When something's free, right, everybody wants it. That's what our kids, again, isolation, fake, phony. Yet you can take this app and create it into anything you want. Somebody could take your face and put it on, and then all of a sudden they're in a relationship with you. Do you know what that does to Remember, our little young minds of children are not developed. It's bad enough with the adults. If they start having these relationships with these fake people that they think are a Brad Pitt, or because they've created that, or they think, or Angelina Jolie. I'll just use these as examples. So be aware these things are going on. I want to direct you to alwayslinswarriors.org. Always follow us, always support us. We thank you so much. Let's see. Yes, Michelle says very complex each situation. Yes. Now, Edie, as a cult survivor, Edie, that's a whole nother program. I can clarify that being in a safe space is very important and small kindness means a lot. Edie, you're backing me up. That's exactly it, because that is what people have told me repeatedly that don't even know each other over and over again. Safe space, and somebody did something kind for me. They looked at me. It's interesting because I was part of a housing summit I attended last week here in Brooklyn, New York. And one of the survivors, and a male, was describing, didn't speak English, escaped from his trafficker here in New York, didn't know anything. And when he showed up, somehow he found out how to go to this place so he could find a shelter. He didn't know how to do anything. Okay. And he's in the middle of New York City. And when he talks about it now, and this was 8 years ago. Okay. Now he speaks English and 8 years ago, knew nothing except he escaped in New York. Okay. Finds this place and they simply, and he was explaining, because we were trying to figure out, with housing for human trafficking victims, survivors, there is nothing. There are 15, everybody hear me, 15 designated beds in the state of New York for children, for youth, deemed human trafficking victims. Did everybody hear me? 15 in the state of New York? 15. And so he was describing, as we're trying to figure out these holes, like what we need to do to change all of this, right? Is he said he showed up at this place where they're supposed to help him get a shelter. He just wanted a bed for a night, a safe space. Somebody directed him. And he said, didn't speak English. They had somebody, a translator, spoke Spanish with him. So I wouldn't say a translator, spoke Spanish. And the person simply handed him a Metro card, which is to get on the bus or a train here, and said, you got to go out in Brooklyn. He didn't even know what Brooklyn was. And you got to go, you have to take a subway and you have to do this. And you got to get there by 7:00 at night. And he said it was already 5:30. He actually started crying when he was telling this story. He said, nobody ever asked him, why are you here? How did you get here? Who did you escape from? Do you need us to call the police? We have somebody that can bring you there, escort you there, we'll pair you up maybe with some, nothing. Here's a Metro card, you're on your way. So it's that kindness and it's that safe space and that just listening that goes a long way. Lori Lewis with the super sticker. Thank you very much, Lori. Leslie says, I would imagine that a survivor would have difficulty trusting people, probably part of the healing process to be able to trust. Very difficult, but they do eventually somewhat get there. But can you imagine going through all of this? How can you? That's why I say trauma is a lifelong challenge. It's ongoing, right? And we all have to do our part. I'm sorry, to be part of this and to support our fellow, citizens, but also the kids. Think about the kids. And I leave you with, I like to give you your homework. I want you to go back and look at some of the interviews that we've done. Okay. Educate yourselves. Also, tomorrow, our good friend Melissa Henson from the Parents Television and Media Council. We're going to be doing our end of month wrap up. We'll be doing that feature every month from now on. And that is something, once I post it, it'll be quick. It'll kind of wrap up legislation, entertainment that's available for kids, books we're going to wrap into it. That's a great one that you should all be following. But I want to thank all of you. I don't care if I have 1 million people here, if I have one person here, that you show up. Because like I said, when I posted I was doing this, it's funny, I said in a meeting yesterday, nobody knew what I was talking about, but I said it anyway. I said, 99% of it is showing up. And somebody said to me yesterday, what does that mean? I'm sure you've all heard that phrase. So let's get through. So Leslie says, yeah, that's messed up. It's not important to the state of New York. That must be changed. Yes. So those are the kind of things that the warriors, we work very hard. We go up to Albany, our state capital. We go on our own dime. We bring people with us. We support the survivors we bring along to speak on our behalf because, after all, I haven't been trafficked. I haven't been exploited. I've had a great life. I have a great life now. I have a great husband. I have a great support system. The voices of a survivor, a strong one, because we don't want to exploit them, but we have a good group, that resonates when they say, let me tell you what I've been through and how nobody helped me, right? But 15 beds, because in New York State, they put all the emphasis and monies into domestic violence, right? There are not separate little divisions. It's all lumped in. It's like foster care, domestic violence. So we're working. Things are going to change on separating everything out, and human trafficking, slavery, right? Enslavement of people will be a separate, all by itself, and should be. And why it's not, I don't know. That's for another program, category. Michelle says, you're all appreciated. Sending love and hugs. Thank you. A happy love. Your tenacity is overwhelming and humbling. Thank you. I want to thank all of you. Now, I want you all to go. I don't know where you are, but have a good night. Rest your minds. Remember self-care. We don't want to get mentally fatigued because there's so much going on. One could just close the door and not think about anything. But remember this, each and every one of us can do something. And by you just being here with me, you're really doing something. So don't forget, follow Community Creates Change, our hashtag. Think about what that really means. Our website, alwayslinswarriors.org. A new newsletter will be going out Monday morning. By Monday morning. And I want everybody to sign up for that. You go to the website, linswarriors.org, scroll down on the right side, e-newsletter. I want to keep you up to date on a lot of things going on. And don't forget, I leave you with this. One pill can kill. Nobody should be buying any kind of drugs, adults, children, aspirin, I don't care what it is, on the internet. Talk to your kids, because 70% of kids, we just had a new study, don't realize that fentanyl, 70% fentanyl is pressed into these fake pills, contaminated with the machinery they're using. 70% kids did not know if they buy a pill on the internet, it could kill them. Think about that one. So everybody, thanks for joining me. Let me just go through. I don't want to miss anybody. We had Lori Lewis. Thank you very much. Lori Cuck. We got all the Loris here, the Lori twins tonight. Thank you for being so generous. And until we meet again, remember, what do I tell you? Go out each and every day and be a warrior. Thank you, everybody.